Okay, so hello. I hope everybody had a really good Labor weekend. I didn't really do anything. I went um I've been a sneezing mess all day. So Labor Day weekend, I went to, I think on Saturday, I went with a friend out by the lake. She had her little community thing, and it was like the Hispanic community, I think. And I had a really good time, and it was out like by the woods, and I'm like a woods girl, I'm a country girl, and there was like the lake, so I was like just walking around, and I was talking to the trees and the flowers and the lake, and I was talking to God, and I was just talking to my grandma. I recently just lost her, and I took it really hard. So then Sunday, I went to church, and my church had a picnic at Old Park, and I took chips and drinks, and it was a lot of fun. We sat outside and we talked and ate. And then Labor Day, I kind of just sat home and I didn't really go anywhere. I was missing my grandma a lot, and yes, I did cry a little bit. So, anyways, so and then Tuesday I did farmers market. Last week, Saturday, Saturday I did really well. I made $100. I thought it was like 99 or 90, but it was like actually recounted it and it was 100. So I did really good on that day. And then yesterday I made $20, and I used it to go to the laundromat. I just got back from like an hour ago from the laundromat, and then I just went to the food pantry, the food bank. It's at the church right across from West Elementary, and there's like a food bank there, and when you first walk in, they give you a cart and a sack, and they tell you grab whatever you want, fill the sacks as much as you can. Well, you all know me, I don't want to take too much, so I just grabbed just the two things of what I wanted, and the lady's like, "That's all you want, honey?" And I was like, "Well, there's more people coming," and she's like, "We put more out." So I grabbed something here and there, but I didn't really grab a too much. I'm just that type of person. I just don't want to, like, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm doing the live reading, chapter 20 from Awakened Evil. Last chapter was Keegan and Terrence had went through the mirror, and Keegan met up with his dad, which he didn't even realize this place even existed. And or no, wait, I honestly don't remember what the last chapter was. Oh yeah, they got to this one house, and there was like two twin girls and a dog, and Terrence is just being himself. He's scared, doesn't really understand what's going on, and he's really confused. And they get to Gina's house, and Keegan and Terrence got there, and Gina sees all these spirits and tells them, go away, I don't want to be bothered with you, dead people. And then Keegan shows Gina how he died. So, now this is chapter 20. And it's only like 5 pages, I think. So, anyways, so this is chapter 20. Madison arrived at the police station with her mom around 11 o'clock p.m. Once they arrived and headed inside, Detective Luke and Detective McLean were already there. "I didn't know the police station was open this late at night. They've always been open this late." Her mom placed the keys in her purse. A lady with a white shirt and a vest led Madison and her mom to a small room where Neve and Horace were sitting and waiting. "Where's Terrence, and why are they here?" McLean nodded at them. "You can have a seat, Madison and Christine. It will be a couple minutes before your polygraph test. There's water if you want some to drink." A small table by the front door had a big plastic picture with a handle and 2 sets of small white paper cups. The brick walls were painted white and the floors were a gray color. There were no windows to see the outside world. Madison knew people were on the other side looking in. She sat down in the hard chair next to her mom, across from the other two. "Where's Terrence at?" Both boys shrugged with their heads down. "How are we supposed to know?" Horace asked. "You were with him, weren't you?" she asked, then stared at Neve. "Were you?" "Terrence was the one that dropped him off at home first," Horace replied. "And did you tell the police that?" "Madison, stop," her mom said. "We came here to take the test, not to ask questions." Minutes went by as Madison sat there staring at the clock on the wall, with both hands tightly held together. The ticking echoed in her mind. What if I fail the test? I would be arrested for a murder I did not commit. I couldn't handle being in a prison with other killers. I don't want that. I would drive myself insane and probably the other inmates too. She rubbed her face with both hands. She was more terrified now than the day she found Keegan's body. Was her life going to be over? The door to the room opened, catching her attention. The lady stepped into the room with the clipboard. "Please don't call my name first. Please. Pick one of the boys. Please, God, please." She looked at the clipboard, then at Madison. "Madison Swisher, you're first." She felt sick and wanted to run, not looking back. She looked at her mom with wide eyes. She wanted to cry with the fear of failing it. The fear of living in a small, dirty cell that smelled like rust and sweat, laying on a thin mattress with old, dirty, smelly sheets weighed heavy on her mind. And the fact that she would only see her mom once a week, or maybe never made the beating, or maybe never again, made the beating rhythm in her chest beat so fast and hard it felt like it could shoot through the ceiling. Both palms sweat, and the muscles in the neck and shoulder tightened. "Just relax and stay calm," her mom said, bringing her back to reality. "You'll pass the test, I know it." The lady stood to the side, keeping the door open with her body. "Madison, please." She looked at the other boys. They had relief on their faces, like they were glad they weren't first. With no other choice and not able to leave, she got up and walked out of the room, one step at a time. With both arms pressed against her ribs, she kept her gaze down. She could be on her way to a prison in an orange suit with chains around her wrists and ankles at any moment. At the end of the white hallway, a door opened. A man with silver gray hair, wearing black pants and a long sleeve light blue shirt with a peach tie, stood by a table with 2 chairs. Madison's feet slowed down until she made it to the doorway. "Good luck, Madison," the lady said, then walked back down the hallway. Whew. Madison, the man, walked across the room and shook her hand. "I'm Mr. Frank Sir Russell. I'm a former FBI special agent and an FBI polygraph examiner. I have conducted over 4,500 polygraph exams." Whew. "You're in good hands. Come sit here." He pulled the chair out from the table and pointed it towards her. "Have a seat." Madison stood there sitting at it, then stepped over and sat down. "Just relax, Madison. I believe You will pass this test. You were the last person to see Keegan alive. But that doesn't mean you killed him. Maybe I need to drink some water. I'm so sick of sneezing. Okay. This relaxed Madison's nerves to hear someone say that. She felt calmer, more relaxed, and at ease. Maybe she had a little faith she would pass. Mr. Frank Russell picked up a blood pressure cuff and tightened it around her arm. She knew what that was. It recorded her pulse and blood pressure. Raising a long black rubber thing, he tightened it over her wet chest and ribs. He then placed 2 metal plates under her 2 fingers. Okay, all done. I'm going to let you relax for a few minutes before we start. Don't think hard, just clear your mind. You need to be calm and as relaxed as possible. She turned her head and saw the wires attached to her body, leading to the polygraph machine, then to the laptop. After a few minutes of clearing her mind, the test began. Madison, I'm going to ask you simple questions and be honest. Do you feel comfortable taking this test? Yes. The machine beeped, then it grew silent. Oh God, why did it beep? Did it show that I lied? I didn't lie. I was being honest. Okay, good. Remember, just relax. She closed her eyes with relief, thinking of Dad and how she missed all of those Bible reading sessions. First question is, did you cut your brother with a knife on the neck? No. She heard a pen scratch on paper. What was he writing down? Did you hide the knife? No. The machine beeped again. Why was that machine beeping? Did you put any harm towards your brother before his death? No. Without blinking, she stared across the room at the door. She couldn't move and felt like a statue. Did you, Madison, plan to kill your brother the night of his murder? No. A silence grew in the room. The sound of the pen on paper still had her wondering what he was writing down. His fingers pressed a few keys on the laptop. Okay, we are done. He got up from the chair and unstrapped everything, one at a time, from her chest, fingers and arm. Thank you, Madison. Did I pass? I'll let you know after everyone is done. Why can't you just tell me now? You will know soon. I promise. I want to test everyone first. The thought of the smelly prison cell in the small space haunted her. She got up from the chair and the lady led her back to the room. Her mom stood and reached for her shoulders. What were the results? Did you pass? What questions did they ask you? They didn't give me the results yet. Not until everybody is done. What? Why? Ma'am, please sit down, the lady said, with the clipboard in her hands. If you are going to cause any trouble, I will have to remove you. I will have you removed. Her mom sat down and rubbed her forehead. Neve, you are next. Each person that did the test, it took a whole hour. But to Madison, hers felt like it didn't take that long at all. It seemed faster than she thought. When her mom finished, she came back into the room and sat down. What questions did they ask you? If I planned to kill him when you were at work? Madison's face grew warm and her stomach heaved. The lady came back into the room and said, Madison, can you come with me? This time, Madison didn't hesitate or have that fear of a jail cell haunting her mind. She got up and followed the lady into a room where both detectives and Mr. Frank Russell were waiting. She sat down at the end of the table and leaned back in the chair. Thank you, Madison, for coming in here. I have your test results. Detective McLean opened a file and grabbed a pen. Madison, how did things go with Mr. Frank Russell? Did he rush you in any way? Did he make you feel scared? Do you think you did well on the test? Do you think Mr. Frank Russell knew what he was doing? Yes, I think he knew what he was doing. He seemed like a nice guy from the start. I trusted him. Okay, and Mr. Russell, how do you think Madison did? I think she did great. She was calm and I believe she was honest. We had no trouble whatsoever. McLean opened a sealed envelope and pulled out a white piece of paper. He looked it over and then back at Madison. Madison Swisher, you were asked a series of questions. Did you cut your brother with a knife? Did you put any harm towards your brother before his death? Did you plan to kill your brother the night of his murder? You said what to all those? No. The answers to those questions showed that Madison Ray Swisher. He paused, looking at the test results, rubbing his chin. The old rusty lockup appeared in the back of her mind. The dirty old ripped smelly bed would be the only thing to lay on every night. Were non-deceptive. You were in fact telling the truth. A relief lifted. The thought of living in a prison cell on a thin smelly bed dissolved from her thoughts. Tears filled her eyes and she covered her face. It was finally over. She was able to breathe again. Was this a close call, Mr. Frank Russell? McLean asked. No, detective. It was an 8+. For Madison to pass the test, she would have needed a +2 or above. So I believe she didn't kill her brother. The moment I looked at her, I knew she was innocent. Okay, wow, I think if I was accused of murder and I had to take a freaking polygraph, I would be picturing exactly what Madison was going through. I would be picturing the cell and the dirty ripped bed, and I think that would be terrifying to anybody. So I'm just like, oh my gosh. I did feel kind of bad that I put her in that situation, but when you find a loved one, that chapter wasn't really that hard to write. I just kind of struggled with the polygraph part. That's why I watched a lot of like crime movies, and when I wrote this whole book, I knew there was going to be a lot of police and crime, blood, all that stuff. So I watched a lot of movies with all of those in it, and I watched a lot of Dr. Phil episodes. I hope he doesn't mind. So that chapter was very interesting to write. Like I said, I had to write a lot of information down. I had to do a ton of research because I'm not really like a crime writer. But after recently my grandma passing, I started writing a new book about something that has to do with like a crime. And I never knew that I would write crime. I just was like, I want to write scary stories. I want to write about witches and demons and stuff because that's what I love to write about. And then I got to Awakened Evil, and when one of the boys when Keegan died first, his death is going to be, what's that called? Homicide, because he was killed by Inga and she's dead. So it's kind of like a homicide, and the murderer wasn't even found. So that chapter, it wasn't really too hard to write. I did struggle just a little bit. So, anyways, let's see, what's the next chapter? I think the next chapter is it's from Olivia's point of view. So, anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed that chapter. I think there are more chapters that involve like the police, but I'm having a lot of fun like rereading it and like telling you guys like how I wrote it, where I got the ideas from. But yes, when I wrote this book particularly, I did watch a lot of crime mystery movies. There was a Stephen King book that I did read, but I can't remember which one it was. I don't know. I don't even remember. It's probably on my shelf. So anyways, I just want to say thank you guys for following along with me, and I hope you really enjoyed this chapter because I had fun writing it, even though at some points it was challenging. But I will be reading again Friday. I was going to do my laundry, but I already did my laundry. So I did that. So I guess Friday at 7, I'll be reading chapter 21 and 22, I think. Because 22 is really, it's really short. 22, So 21 and 22, I'll be reading that at 7 because I gotta clean the church. So, I will see you guys. Wait, get in there. Whoa. Okay, so I'll see you guys Friday night at 7. So I hope you guys have a good rest of